I discovered my stepsister was tethered to a grind-to-win system. For every 100 practice problems I solved, she gained an extra point on her exams. After I blazed through 3,000 problems, the system announced she'd receive a 30-point boost on the Tri-State Scholastic Assessment. When scores were released, she waved her 1550 test result in my face, feigning modesty. I just gazed at the early acceptance letter to Stanford in my hands and gave a slight smile. Some things can't be stolen. Bella is my stepsister. Junior year, she pleaded with my dad to transfer her to my elite prep school. The honors track was intense, and the pace was blistering. Bella couldn't keep up. So, my dad threw money at the problem, hiring a team of top-tier tutors and ordering stacks of prep books and practice exams from every publisher imaginable. Everything came in duplicate, one for her, one for me. This was supposedly at Bella's own request, a move that so delighted my dad he wired $10,000 into her account as a reward, and she didn't disappoint him. She climbed from the bottom of the class rankings into the top 10, and then to the number 1 spot in the recent Tri-State assessment. Gradually, the teacher's praise shifted from me to her. My classmates started treating her like the legendary star of her own success story, while I was relegated to the role of the supporting character, the once bright star destined to be eclipsed by the late-arriving protagonist. Bella basked in the adoration. Oh my God, 1,550? I couldn't get that score if you gave me the answer key. Bella, how do you do it? You have to teach us. Seriously, your last score was 1480. How did you jump another 70 points? The girl is a genius. It's terrifying. Another 70 points. The number echoed in my mind, oddly familiar, like the mechanical voice I'd been hearing. There's no secret trick, Bella said, a knowing smile playing on her lips. Just a lot of practice tests. Ignoring the buzz around me, I pulled out a new practice exam to keep my skills sharp, but then I heard it again. That familiar robotic voice, seemingly emanating from Bella herself. Target designated, Claire Xia. 20 problems completed. 80 problems remaining to reach score conversion threshold. Host may choose to activate one-time point multiplier card. Yes/no? The pen in my hand froze. I was still processing it when the class president tapped my shoulder and told me to go to the guidance counselor's office. Ms. Peterson, my counselor, handed me a folder. On top was the official early admissions list. My name was right there. You must have been getting anxious, she said warmly. Ms. Peterson was a close friend of my mom's before she passed and has always looked out for me. I know how hard you've worked these 3 years. You were determined to get into Stanford. I clutched the folder, memories flooding back. The last time my mom took me to visit the Stanford campus, I was only 7. I remember her holding my hand, pointing out the lecture hall where the sun always streamed through the windows, the dorm where a fat calico cat used to nap on the steps, and the dining hall that served overpriced, terrible food. She even promised that if I ever wanted to date someone at school, she'd get a job as a dorm advisor just to get me the inside scoop on all the best guys. The promise was still here, but the person who made it was gone. Stanford wasn't just her alma mater, it was my obsession. Your mom would be bragging about this to me for weeks. Ms. Peterson said with a sigh, her voice softening. Okay, head back to class. Even though you don't have to take the finals, you still have to show up, you know? I nodded, thanked her, and walked out, nearly colliding with Bella, who was lingering awkwardly in the hallway. When did you take up skulking around? I asked. It's broad daylight. What are you talking about, Claire? Bella's guilt was fleeting, quickly replaced by a smug confidence. I came to console you. I watched her put on her act with a cold stare. I'm so sorry I took the top spot from you, sis. I honestly didn't think I could improve that much. This test was really hard. It's no wonder you struggled with some sections. It took me a lot of brainpower to get through it. You talk too much. I cut her off and started to walk away. Dad's not here. You can drop the act. Bella's expression stiffened. My mom booked a private room at the Gilded Lily for 7 tonight to celebrate. She told me to let you know. You don't have to come if you don't want to. I interrupted. Of course I'm coming, I said. How could I miss the show? I wouldn't miss witnessing the spectacle of my hard work creating your fake glory for anything. The last time the family gathered like this was for my dad's wedding to her mother. Helen, my stepmother, sat at the head of the table, looking every bit the part of a wealthy matriarch. My dad was stuck at the office, but Bella's entire clan was there, aunts, uncles, the whole family tree. It was a bigger turnout than a holiday. I'm telling you, Helen has the best luck. I'm so jealous, one aunt began as soon as I sat down, and the chorus of empty praise began. Just look at our Bella, #1 in the tri-state. She's a shoo-in for the Ivy League. Oh, you're too kind, Auntie, Bella demurred, though she was clearly eating it up. It's all thanks to Mom's guidance. Once Bella makes it big, don't you forget about your uncle. Of course not, Uncle Jim. Bella's just brilliant, not like my kid, thick as a brick. Bella was the center of the universe, soaking in the compliments. At precisely 8 o'clock, I heard the system's warning tone from her direction. Warning, designated target Claire Xia has completed fewer than 100 problems today. Host score on the next exam will be penalized by 10 points. The wine glass in Bella's hand trembled slightly. I took that as my cue to leave. It's getting late. I still have homework to do. I was lying, of course. I had no intention of doing a single problem. Bella's eyes lit up, but her mother shot her a look and subtly pressed her hand down. It seemed I wasn't the only one in on the secret. A mother knows her own daughter's limits, after all. Oh, look, there's another person sitting here, the first aunt said, her voice dripping with mock surprise. I never liked Helen, and I liked her family even less. I know, right? I replied sweetly. I thought maybe your eyesight was just getting bad with age, but I didn't realize you'd gone completely blind. The aunt's face turned beet red. She pointed a trembling finger at me. Is that how they teach you to talk to your elders at that fancy school? All your education has gone to the dogs. I nodded. Then I guess I'll stop studying. Anyway, my family's rich. What's the point of doing all that homework if you can't even beat our Bella? Another relative chimed in. You're right. I'll just stop, I said agreeably. I wasn't worried. I knew someone else would be far more anxious than me. No. The shriek came from Bella, who had jumped to her feet. Realizing her outburst, she quickly tried to backtrack. I mean, we're still students. We have to prioritize our studies. We can't just not do our homework, right, sis? Before I could reply, my takeout from the Gilded Lily arrived. After a long soak in the tub and a full skincare routine, I settled into my plush king-sized bed. My phone buzzed nonstop with messages from Bella. Claire, don't stay up too late doing homework. You need to take care of yourself. I scoffed, gathered up the blank practice tests, and tucked them away before turning off the light. Pulling all-nighters to do your work for you? Not happening. The next day, Grace, who collected homework for our class, came to my desk. Claire, where's yours? I calmly handed her the blank packet. You didn't do it? What's going on? Grace whispered, shocked. Her voice was low, but loud enough for certain people to overhear, and a certain person, Bella, was even more shocked than she was. Didn't you say you were going home to do homework last night? She demanded, snatching the blank pages from Grace's hand as if searching for any sign of use. Her frantic, accusatory posture was exactly what I'd expected. She looked like she wanted to grab my hand and fill out the answers for me. I shrugged. I was tired. I must have fallen asleep. I added, all those steps, cleanser, serum, eye cream, moisturizer, mask, body lotion, it's a workout. But you can't just not do your homework. Here, copy mine. Hurry. Grace frowned, rolling her eyes beautifully before laying into Bella. Are you serious? It's Claire's homework. Why are you so worked up about it? Here, copy mine. Is this your test or hers? The girl's not worried, so why are you? Mind your own business. Grace snatched the papers back. Honestly, some people, in a way, she had hit the nail on the head. The work was mine, but the score was hers. Of course she was worried. Bella tried to save face. Grace, you misunderstood. I'm just concerned. You know I took her #1 spot, and with finals coming up, I'm worried she'll get discouraged. And our teacher is so strict, he might make an example of her. I just don't want to see that happen. But Grace wasn't buying it. Give it a rest. Worry about yourself, okay? Claire, bring your papers and come with me. Once we were in a 4th-floor blind spot, Grace's demeanor changed entirely. So, my acting skills are pretty good, right? I deserve an Oscar for that. She pulled a completed, identical test packet out of her bag with my name written neatly on top. My handwriting is getting good, huh? She gave me a playful glance. Whoever gets to be my best friend is so lucky. I laughed. Grace and I have been inseparable since we were kids. We shared everything, from clothes when we were little to ice cream cones now. When I asked her to do an extra set of my homework without explaining why, she agreed instantly. no questions asked. So, Claire, she said, when are you going to tell your family about the early admission? Are you still going to take the finals? I shook my head, then nodded. I had asked Ms. Peterson to keep my admission quiet for now, and Grace was the only other person who knew. Ever since Helen moved in, every trace of my mother has been systematically erased. Her walk-in closet became a guest room. Her art studio became a storage closet. Even the wisteria-covered swing set she built for me was torn down and replaced with tacky red roses. And my father, who watched it all happen, just patted my head and told me not to dwell on the past. To be fair, he always provided for me financially. I was his daughter, his brilliant daughter, but now, he had 2 daughters. A parent-teacher conference was scheduled just after the tri-state assessment. At the dinner table, the 3 of them were debating who should attend for Bella. Our Bella is number 1. She's a role model for her peers. The teachers will have nothing but praise, Helen boasted. Don't you dare try to take this from me, Richard. What are you talking about? My dad retorted. Isn't Bella my daughter too? I want to hear the teachers praise her as well. I walked in on this heartwarming scene. Helen spotted me first, a provocative smile on her face. Well, what about Claire? I know, you can go for Claire, and I'll represent Bella. My father hesitated for only a second. This time is different. Exactly, Helen pressed. They said this assessment was the closest thing to the real SATs. If Bella can get number 1 on this, she could be first in the city, maybe even the state. There was no way my father would pass up an opportunity like that to show off. I saw the satisfied smile on Helen's face. I smiled too. Maria, I called to our housekeeper. I'd love some green bean soup. My voice made my father jump, but he quickly recovered. Claire, when did you get home? Why didn't you say hello? Right when you decided to go to Bella's parent-teacher conference instead of mine, I thought. I took the soup and said coolly, sometimes, silence speaks louder than words. Like right now, Claire. Bella said my name, her voice strained. The dark circles under her eyes were visible even through a thick layer of concealer. It had only been 3 days, and she already looked haggard. I suppressed a cold laugh and ladled some soup for her too. Green beans are good for cooling you down. You should have some, sis. Look at those sores on your lip. Too much stress from studying lately? You should focus on consolidating what you know instead of just grinding through problems. Not that there's much in that head of yours to consolidate. Claire used to compete all the time. You should listen to your sister about managing stress. She has experience, my father said, clearly trying to make up for his earlier slight. I know. Thank you for the advice, sis, Bella muttered through clenched teeth, stirring her soup without taking a single sip. But you still have to do the work, right? The teachers always say it's important to stay sharp. I smiled and nodded. If you want to do them, go right ahead. Grace was also busy studying for finals, so I hired a reliable service online, $20 a test. Grace had pouted, saying I could have just bought her barbecue for that price. I calmly picked up a piece of braised pork. Warning, designated target Claire Xia has completed fewer than 100 problems today. Host score on the next exam will be penalized by an additional 10 points. Cumulative penalty, 50 points. This pork was delicious. Someone submitted an anonymous complaint that some students were slacking off, bringing down the class atmosphere, and suggested increasing the in-class workload. I didn't need a crystal ball to know it was Bella. The smug smile on her face when the teachers announced the new policy was a dead giveaway. Idiot. Today, the literature teacher took over gym class for extra reading. Tomorrow, the history teacher would use it to review key dates. The day after, math would take over for functions and geometry. With so much core material to cover, who had time to monitor if you were doing extra drills? 3 days before the monthly exam, the parent-teacher conference took place. My father put on his best hand-tailored suit and gently patted Bella's head. Let's go. Just like my mom used to do for me when I won a competition. Miss Claire, Maria, our housekeeper, called out worriedly. It's time for school. It looks like it's going to rain heavily. I watched coldly as my father and Bella disappeared from view. Maria, please order a bouquet of irises for me, and have Leo get the car ready. I'm going to the cemetery. I texted Ms. Peterson to let her know I'd be absent. The black and white photo on the tombstone looked just as I remembered. I set down the flowers, opened 2 cans of beer, and sat cross-legged on the ground to tell her everything that had happened, just like I used to when she was alive. I got into Stanford. Mom, we're going to be fellow alumni. I chose finance. Once I graduate, I can take over Grandpa's company. He's been talking about taking Grandma on a trip for years. I'm sick of hearing about it. Grandma's old dog, Sonny, the one you used to feed, had puppies. Grandma gave me the cutest one. I'll bring him next time. Grandma just got back from her trip abroad. By the way, she's doing much better, so don't worry. I miss your homemade wontons. If you miss me too, come visit me in my dreams. I was soaked to the bone when I got home. My father was sitting on the sofa, his face grim. Claire, those medals you won in your competitions, they qualified you for early admission to Stanford, didn't they? Even though I'd asked Ms. Peterson to keep it confidential, my past achievements were public knowledge. I never intended to hide them. An opportunity like that, and you'd give it up without even discussing it with your family? Do you even have any respect for me as your father? If another parent hadn't asked your counselor about it today, I'd still be in the dark. Do you have any idea? Yeah, sis, Bella chimed in, her voice dripping with acid. How could you not tell us about something so huge? I smirked. I had to hand it to Ms. Peterson for spinning that tale for my dad. I just wanted the freedom to choose my own major. You're already in the door at Stanford. Who cares what you major in? I only want to study finance, I said, meeting my father's gaze. Maria rushed forward and wrapped a towel around me. All right, that's enough. You too. Miss Claire was out in the rain at the cemetery all afternoon. What if she gets sick? How could I ever face your mother? Her words silenced them both. My head was spinning. I pushed myself up and headed for my room, hearing my father sigh behind me. Maria, bring a bowl of hot ginger soup up to her. I ran a high fever for 2 days and lost a noticeable amount of weight, but Bella looked even worse than I did. At the dinner table, Helen was fussing over me. Claire, you're still recovering. Just have some porridge. I made this soup especially for you. It simmered for 3 hours. Are you still dizzy? Maybe you should skip the exam. Your health is more important. Your dad can call the school. So that was her game. She was afraid I'd go and steal her daughter's thunder. Before I could respond, Bella shot up from her chair. No. The sound of the chair scraping against the floor was shrill. Finals are just around the corner. Every second counts. Claire's already missed several days of review. She can't miss this chance to catch up. But the teachers always say it's important to stay in the zone. Bella continued, trying to sound reasonable. She's been sick. She hasn't touched a book in 2 days. Of course she has to go. She needs to get her rhythm back before the big exams. Her excuse was plausible enough that my father started to waver. I thought about the system's message I'd overheard last night. Next exam, host will be penalized an additional 10 points. Cumulative penalty, 90 points. I smiled. My sister is right. I leaned weakly against the table as if I might fall. I should go take the test. Leo, can you get the car ready? Nonsense. My father slammed his chopsticks down. You're staying home to recover. I'll talk to the school. If I have to, I'll hire tutors to come to the house. If they can produce one top student, they can produce another. Bella, the top student in question, paled. My father's men swarmed around me, escorting me upstairs with trays of various breakfast foods. I shot Bella a triumphant, challenging smile over my shoulder. Mr. Gu, Grace's father, hosted a birthday gala that brought out the city's elite. My father worked the room, beaming with pride, while Bella, who had failed to fake an illness and was forced to attend, looked miserable. Richard, you're a lucky man. My son tells me your daughter got the top score on the tri-state assessment. Truly impressive. You said it, Tom. If I had a daughter that brilliant, I'd be smiling in my sleep. The future belongs to these kids. Makes you feel old, doesn't it? Don't even get me started. I'm thinking of shipping my kid off to some boarding school abroad to see if he can grow a brain. I have to say, Richard, both your daughters are incredibly smart. Some people have all the luck. With every word of praise, Bella's face grew longer. I lounged in a plush armchair in the corner, watching her expression sour. New pastry chef. Try this, Grace said, handing me a slice of tiramisu while balancing her dog in her other arm. Look at your stepsister. I snorted. She's sick. Her complexion is terrible. I idly stroked her dog, Lucky, who was leaning affectionately against her. All the treats I'd fed him were clearly for nothing. She's panicking, Grace giggled, swinging her slender legs. It hasn't even been that long since the tri-state exam, and her score has already dropped by almost 100 points. Forget number 1, she didn't even make the top 100. I saw her crying in the counselor's office this morning. Hey, Does your dad not know her latest scores? Otherwise, why would he still be parading her around? Your dad cares so much about his reputation. I'm embarrassed for him. I'm sure Bella's too scared to tell him, I said, taking a bite of the cake. It was a little too sweet for my taste. He'll find out eventually. Ms. Peterson's call came quickly. The next day, my father went to the school again. I don't know the details of their conversation, but afterward, all of Bella's credit cards were frozen. Helen threw a massive tantrum in her room, smashing 2 floor lamps, 3 antique vases, 4 Hermes bags, 5 bottles of perfume, and countless cosmetics. My father didn't even come home that night. He was clearly furious. You must be so proud of yourself, Bella said, her eyes red and swollen as she glared at me across the dinner table. I calmly picked up a piece of braised pork and spooned some sauce over my rice. Proud of what? If you had gone to the exam, you would have been number 1 again. You would be Daddy's favorite daughter again. The adored Miss Xia. I nodded in agreement. You're not wrong. Shameless, Bella spat through clenched teeth. Claire, do you really think you can do whatever you want just because you get good grades? I found it laughable. Do whatever I want? I think you're the expert on that, aren't you? If you weren't number 1, if I was still the one most likely to set records, do you really think the school would have helped you cover up the fact that you maliciously injured another student, leaving her with a permanent disability? Bella panicked. I didn't. She was clumsy. She bumped into me and fell down the stairs and broke her arm. It had nothing to do with me. Really? Then why did your mother secretly pay her family $200? 000? You can't possibly think the security cameras at school are just for decoration, can you? I laughed out loud. Bella, did no one ever tell you that when you try to have it all, belittling me while building yourself up, you end up with nothing? The adoration of her classmates, the praise from teachers, the fawning of relatives, and most importantly, our father's attention, all of it belonged to Bella, the tri-state champion. All of it was stolen. None of it was ever truly hers. After a long silence, Bella looked up. Claire, you already got in early, didn't you? It wasn't a question. I raised an eyebrow, truly studying my stepsister for the first time. Even my own father hadn't suspected. You worked so hard for 2 years, all for Stanford's finance program. I can't think of any other reason why you would suddenly stop doing practice tests and even skip exams. Ms. Peterson looks out for you. Sure, but for the other teachers to delay posting the admissions list for you, what gives you the right? Bella's voice was thick with jealousy. I looked down at her and stated a simple fact. It helps to have an uncle who sits on the university's board of trustees. Bella sneered. I can't believe your mother is still helping you, even after she's been dead for so long. I slapped her across the face. Hard. Bella was stunned, clutching her cheek as a wild scream built in her throat. I slapped her other cheek for symmetry. You, the daughter of a homewrecker, have no right to speak my mother's name. The screaming stopped. I wiped my hands with a tissue. Surprised I know? Did you really think an Ivy League Ph.D. would raise a fool like you? Your mother just happened to bump into a classmate she hadn't seen in 20 years at a party? That excuse is so old it's embarrassing. I don't talk about your dirty little secrets, but that doesn't mean I don't know them. Instead of trying to provoke me, you should be figuring out how to get back on Dad's good side. Do you really think he'll forgive you after you embarrassed him so publicly? I embarrassed him? Bella broke, laughing hysterically. So what if my mom used a few tricks? Your dad wasn't exactly pure of heart. Your mother was barely in the ground before he was fooling around with another woman. While you were sitting Shiva for her, he was shacked up in a hotel with my mom. You think he loved her so much? When I accidentally broke the jade bracelet she left you, he just brushed it off, didn't he? Her laugh was mocking. I lowered my eyes, not refuting her. Then, I lunged, snatching the phone from her hand. The recording was still active. I hit stop, delete, and factory reset in one smooth motion. Before Bella could react, I smashed the phone on the floor. Whoops, slipped, I said, picking up the shattered device. By the way, sis, next time you try to be clever, try to be a little less obvious. Bella collapsed onto the floor, her eyes filled with venom. Claire, you just wait. My father returned with a diamond necklace for me, a beautiful iris-shaped pendant. He was a good businessman. He knew how to weigh costs and benefits. But I was no longer the 10-year-old girl who cried herself to sleep at his funeral. Xia Corp was facing a crisis. A major investment had failed, and the company's capital chain was broken. My father was scrambling. Without a significant cash infusion, the company had two possible futures: bankruptcy or a hostile takeover. My mother had left me a substantial inheritance through my grandfather. Liquidating the stocks and real estate would generate a huge sum. My father had already hinted at it 6 times today. I knew what he wanted. Dad, I don't really know the details, I said innocently. Mom never went over it with me. The papers are all with my grandfather, and she set it up so the assets won't transfer to my name until I'm an adult, because she was afraid I'd spend it all. It's probably too late to save the company. Why don't you talk to Grandpa directly? My grandfather had been planning this for a long time. I was more than happy to help build the bridge. I wasn't involved in the negotiations, but the company remained Xia Corp. My father, however, was reassigned to a branch office 400 miles away. He'd be lucky to make it home once every 6 months. With the charade over, I started skipping school frequently. One day I'd have lunch at my grandmother's. The next, I'd go walk my uncle's dog. Life was good. Bella's glares grew darker by the day. Her grades continued to plummet. Grace told me Bella failed to even meet the baseline for a 4-year college on the last mock exam. Every one of her teachers had pulled her in for a talk. The pressure was too much. She spent an entire morning sobbing at her desk. The crowd that once worshipped her went from shock and confusion to indifference. The whispers started, quiet and sharp as needles, all aimed at Bella's heart. There was no escape. What do you guys think happened? Bella's grades fell off a cliff. A cliff isn't that steep. My friends at other schools were asking what our tri-state champion scored this time. I was too embarrassed to say. You can't trust people. Do you think something happened to her? Claire's been skipping class too. But I haven't heard that Xia Corp is going bankrupt. Oh, you don't know? Claire got early admission to Stanford. With all those academic medals she won, she was a lock. She asked the counselor not to announce it early so it wouldn't affect the rest of us. Holy crap, Stanford? If I got in there, my family would rewrite our entire ancestry starting with me. My dad would personally grind the ink for my acceptance letter. I'm going to the trophy case to pay my respects. That's my sister, my eternal sister. Forget it. Someone already stole her photo from the display case. You're too late to the party. Grace reenacted the scene for me with dramatic flair, Lucky wagging his tail at her feet. Claire, you have no idea. Bella was right there, pretending to be asleep, while they were saying all this. It was glorious. Oh, and Lucky has been so clingy lately. I snuck him into school last time, and he was so good, didn't make a peep. I gave the mutt, who was currently trying to burrow into Grace's arms, a weary look. When is he not clingy with you? If I told people he was my dog, they'd think I was a dog napper. 3 days before the final exams, Bella took a leave of absence. She was out of the house early and back late, hauling in stacks of practice tests. I couldn't figure out what she was plotting this time, until Grace was kidnapped. I have Grace. Don't call the police, or you'll get her back in pieces. Leo, our driver, who had been waiting for her outside school, received the threatening text from Grace's own phone. Grace's mother fainted when she heard the news and was still in the hospital. The Gu family was in chaos, but I knew who was behind it, because I received a text too. If you want to see Grace again, finish 200 practice tests within 24 hours. No police, or she's dead. Here's a little souvenir for you. The attached photo was of Grace's hair tie. I threw open Bella's bedroom door. It was empty, except for a massive, neatly stacked pile of English practice tests, clearly left for me. The urge to kill Bella had never been stronger, but the first priority was to buy time. I grabbed a pen and started filling in answers at lightning speed. As I did, I heard a faint, mechanical chime. Designated target Claire Xia has completed 200 problems. Congratulations, host. Your score on the next exam will increase by 2 points. I kept going, doing everything I could to lower Bella's guard. She couldn't have pulled off kidnapping a person from school grounds by herself. Bella was using Grace as leverage, but she didn't know this wasn't Grace's first kidnapping. The Gu family was wealthy, and as the sole heir, Grace had been a target before. After she was safely rescued the first time, her parents had taken precautions. A tracking device was a non-negotiable part of her daily life. The Gu family's security team was already working on decrypting the tracker's signal. My job was to give them the time they needed. Designated target Claire Xia has completed 400 problems. Congratulations, host. Your score on the next exam will increase by 4 points. Designated target Claire Xia has completed 800 problems. Congratulations, host. Your score on the next exam will increase by 8 points. Designated target Claire Xia has completed 2,000 problems. Congratulations, host. Your score on the next exam will increase by 20 points. After I finished the 5,000th problem, Bella was arrested. Her accomplice, a fervent admirer from our school, was arrested with her. The Gu family's legal team took over the case immediately. The accomplice's family offered a huge sum of money for a private settlement. We're all classmates. The accomplice pleaded with Grace. We're about to have our finals. Don't ruin my life. Besides, we didn't even do anything to you. It was just a joke. Grace shot him a withering glare. You know it's finals week, and you decide to kidnap me? Are you even human? Who's going to compensate me for my psychological trauma? Your mouth, which seems to only be good for spouting garbage. You didn't do anything? Did you invite me to this abandoned, disgusting warehouse for tea? I almost suffocated from the smell. Since you think kidnapping is so refreshing and refined, how about this? Tomorrow, I'll arrange for you to get a job making umbrellas in prison. Spend 2 or 3 years there. By the time you get out, you'll have a marketable skill. Isn't that great? The police took them away. Under intense pressure from the Gu family, the case was resolved quickly. When Helen heard the news, she frantically called my father for help. But things were different now. Since the crisis at Xia Corp, his power had been severely curtailed. He was too far away and had too little influence to do anything, especially with the Gu family blocking any attempts. Once it was confirmed that Bella would have a permanent mark on her record, Helen became hysterical, coughing up blood in front of the Gu family. No one paid her any mind. Grace's mother was my mom's best friend. Her hatred for Helen was as deep as mine. I kicked Helen out of the house and bought her a one-way ticket to join my father. If their 20-year-old friendship was so unbreakable, they could enjoy it together forever. I converted the guest room back into a walk-in closet and the storage room back into an art studio. I had all the red roses ripped out by the roots and planted irises, and I rebuilt the swing set. The house was in my name now. After all, when my father found out I'd gotten into Stanford, he called me. We had nothing to say to each other. The next day, he sent a jade bracelet, a near-perfect imitation of the one that was broken. I looked at it once and sent it back. It wasn't the same. We both knew it would never be the same. Bella was charged with kidnapping and assault. Her accomplice turned on her, pushing most of the blame onto her. They spent years in court, turning on each other like rabid dogs. The student whose arm Bella had broken learned to write with her left hand and, I heard, did quite well on her exams. And I never heard that familiar mechanical voice again. That summer, I went on a trip around the world with Grace. We saw the coral reefs in Australia, vacationed in the Maldives, saw the lavender fields in Provence, and rode a gondola in Venice. When I got back, my Stanford acceptance packet was waiting for me. I put on my old school uniform, took a picture, and sent it to the contact number that had been silent for so long. In the photo, I was smiling, radiant with the joy of heading off to college. I kept my promise to you, Mom. See you at Stanford.